do you want to do before you die? Well, that's an awfully loaded question. It's a question that makes us as human beings uncomfortable. It reminds us of our own mortality, that we live within some numbered days. But it's also one of the most thought-provoking questions you can ask a person. It's so much more than what do you want to do before you die. It's who are you, what do you value, and where do you hope to go, all wrapped up into two little words. For me, a bucket list isn't things I want to accomplish once, but instead things I want to incorporate into my entire life. Before I die, I want to travel the world, leave a positive impact, and most importantly, to be happy. First things first, travel. Traveling the world is an awfully big item on my bucket list, but as Peter Pan once said, to live would be an awfully big adventure. I've been adventurous ever since I was a little girl. I was the one dare amongst dozens of truths. There's always just been something within me that's attracted to the suspense of experiencing something new. For me, seeing an entirely new world is comforting. There's always people you meet or things you see in which you find just exactly what you needed, something you couldn't find elsewhere. I've spent my whole life reading, escaping to these worlds dreamed up by others, and now as an adult, I have the ability to not only mentally but physically escape to these exotic places. I read once, don't live the same year 75 times and call it a life. That is my greatest fear, monotony. The worst thing I could do is live out my life within a 25 square mile bubble. If I'm going to inhabit this earth, I will at the very least explore it. And traveling the world will lead me to meet so many people. Ultimately, everyone wants to leave their impact on the world in some way, shape, or form. But for me, I want to impact individuals, working one-on-one at the ground level. When I was 13, there was a stray cat that lived in my neighborhood. And when winter came, she grew to be cold, sick, and hungry. And no one was willing to take her in. So one day, while my mom was at work, I snuck her into my room. For 2 months. And eventually my brother ratted me out, and I was grounded, of course. But I was able to convince my parents that all the cat needed was a loving home. And 5 years later, Luna is fat, happy, and loved. And eventually, even though this is small scale and didn't matter in the grand scheme of things, it surely was important to that cat. And while yes, I was punished, it was worth it in the end to know that she survived because of me. And now that I've grown older and more resources are available to me, I can get so much larger and impact so much more. Eventually, I want to join the Peace Corps. This life is so hard for so many, and if I can help even just a little bit, then I refuse to sit by idly. And while it will be difficult and probably even dangerous, it will be worth it in the end. Because it isn't only those who you help who gain from your impacts, it's you as well. Not only should a bucket list be comprised of things you want to do in the world, but also what you want for yourself. While the last item on my bucket list may seem simple or even childish, it is the most important to me. It's easy to get caught up in the difficulties and hardships of this life, but I think as individuals we feel selfish about spending too much time on our own happiness. But why on earth would we ever want to live a life we aren't happy with? There's such a focus on money and material things in today's society, but we have to remember that these will not bring fulfillment. You have to do what you love, what will bring you joy. As long as you aren't hurting others, you have free reign. If what makes you happy is driving down the highway with all of your windows down, blasting the music, then by all means, speed down that road. It's easy to make a list of things you want to accomplish, but it's harder, in my opinion, to lead a life in which every decision you make promotes your own happiness. And that's the ultimate goal, after all, to find what makes me happy, whether it be in a career or another person or even in myself. There. That is my bucket list. These 3 things are who I am, what I value, and where I want to be. I will travel the world. I will leave a positive impact, and I will be happy. Bucket lists are no light concept. They embody you and tell your story, your whole story. So, tell me, what will you do before you die?
Okay.